have you enjoyed your time down under so far? You guys are obviously no stranger to touring Australia. You were here fairly recently.
We were here a year ago. Love being in Australia. It's extremely familiar in the general vibe of the country because it feels like a better version of Canada,
True.
in the sense that everything's just like cleaner, the weather is nicer, there's more coffee shop per block than I've ever seen in my entire life, which I
Yeah.
very much enjoy every day. And we just love our fans here, and I think people down under really appreciate when bands come over because it's far, it's very far, and people, they it's not lost on them that we need to cross the whole planet to come here.
No, definitely not because, we often do miss out. And, plenty of festivals over the last couple of years keep getting cancelled or postponed or all sorts of things. No one's got any money. And yeah, Australia quite often gets overlooked. We are often joking about the fact that, a world tour is announced and it's sort of like, 50 dates in the US and maybe a couple in Europe and maybe Japan. And then, yeah, we miss
And back
out.
home again,
So,
yeah.
it is really great when guys like you come down under. So it really is appreciated. And, you got a couple of days off now. So what do you got planned for the next couple of days before? Is it Sydney up next? Or
Yeah. So well, we've got our second show in Melbourne tonight. Then tomorrow, you call it a day off. I call it a travel day.
Mm.
So we're going to Sydney, and then we actually had one too many days off, and we decided to make a special event in Sydney. And we're doing our second album, top to bottom, which we've never done. So we're playing a show. We're playing the whole, still not getting any album, and it's just a little special for the fans. We just happen to be here, and we have the time, and we figured we'd do it, and we're really looking forward to that. So it's when we have time off, it's a lot of walking around, enjoying the weather and coffee, and then when it's show day, it's all about content, fun set lists, and having a good time.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess it's an interesting one for you guys to be touring in this part of your career because you've got such a different lineup of music. Of course, so much of this is celebrating the album, still not getting any. But have you found that that you're going to be throwing in like bits and pieces that are maybe for the first time on this tour because you feel like you've got the liberty to do so? You guys have played to an Australian audience enough that you feel like, okay, I've given you guys enough time to hear all the songs that you should have heard when you saw us the first time. Now here's a random B-side, just off the rip.
Well, it's an interesting thing. So we've been doing a lot of everything over the past, I would say, like 3 years since we came back after the pandemic, and we've been doing some really awesome headlining shows. We've been doing some festivals in our home country where we've had fans that have been with us for 23 years since the first album came out. But like we've been doing a lot of main support as well. So right now we're on the Offspring main support, and Pierre asks every night. Pierre, our singer, asks the crowd every night, "Who here has never seen us before?" And it's always like the majority of people, obviously they're here for the Offspring, so like they're like, "Oh, Simple Plan, might as well go at the same time." But most people have never seen us, so we still like to give them what they want, which is the familiar songs, like the hits, if you will. And it's so like our main support set list is the one you would want from us, and then when you come to our headlining show, that's when you're going to get those golden nuggets here and there.
Yeah, nice. And just from like I guess almost like an emotional or a psychological point of view, when you hear that, like, and you're at the Offspring show and you find that there's so many people in the crowd that are seeing you for the first time, does that kind of activate that, I guess, feeling that you had back when you were starting touring, where you're trying to convert the audience into Simple Plan fans, or are you so far through your career now where you're like, well, we have our fans. We don't need to fight for these guys anymore. Like, does it kind of make you feel like you're back on the stage for the first time again, back in those early days?
100%. I don't think that feeling ever goes away. I think whenever we get on stage, unless it's like your own show that's sold out in 4 minutes, like you're always going to get that feeling like there's someone in here that just casually knows three songs, and I have to convince them that the rest of the catalog is amazing and that they're going to want to come back next time.
Yeah.
And definitely that happens when we're on these main support songs. So like we're playing a couple more fast songs than we're used to, just because it's the Offspring, it's cool. And if
Yeah.
they don't really know us, they're gonna dance along to the fast songs anyway. So like we always try to mix it up, but definitely that sort of small band mentality comes back to us every time we get on stage in front of those crowds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has it been touring with the guys from the Offspring? I'm sure you guys have, crossed paths many times over the last 20 odd years. And I also imagine that backstage is a little bit different these days to what it was 20 years ago as well.
Well, it's absolutely amazing on so many levels. Checks just on the touring side of things, they are fantastic. The guys are great. Their team is amazing. Everybody's so nice. Like it's such a pleasant vibe backstage and on stage. And you know, like we're not an unknown band, and they acknowledge that we need to put on a certain show, and everybody's really nice and generous about that. And it's like just the whole vibe is great. And then putting on top of that, that 13-year-old me's first album I ever bought was smashed by the Offspring, and I absolutely adore them, the music, and now we sort of get to hang out a little bit. And like we went to dinner the other night. I'm like, this is happening. This is amazing, and I'm just loving every minute of it. Watch their show. The set list is it's crazy how many amazing songs that they have. It's completely, I mean, it's out of this world. So it's a good team up, and we've done America and Canada with them last year. This year we did Japan, currently in Australia, and we're doing all of Europe in the fall. And we're gonna have gone around the world with these guys, and it's an honor, and we're feeling the generosity on their side, and it's absolutely it's amazing to be on tour with them.
And
That's
it
yeah.
doesn't slow down as well because I know you've got another big tour just around the corner with another one of
Yeah,
Canada's favorites and a brand new track, Young and Dumb with Avril Lavigne. This is exciting stuff.
it's very exciting, honestly. Like it's sort of a full circle moment. One of Avril's very first tour she did, we were main support on that as well in
Mm.
2002.
Now, I was going to
And
ask about that because it's almost 20 years on since, you guys were at the precipice of like really breaking into the world market together, and now you've had extremely long and successful careers together, and now you're back on the road. Like, it must feel like full circle almost.
it is, and she's very sweet, you know, and the song is really really cool, and I can't wait for everybody to hear the full thing. And like we started, we toured with her last summer, and it was a blast. Honestly, like I think the fans are the people that appreciate it the most. They're like, oh, finally these two together. You know, I get to see them both. Like, and it's really odd. And again, I mean, you can't deny those songs. Like she steps on stage and it's like, oh, I love this one. I love this one. I loved it. Like every single song, you're like, it's a hit, and it's like I mean, looking forward to doing it again this summer, and that's what we're jumping on right after this Australian tour, and it's yeah, it's great. You know, she's very sweet, and we get on real good.
Can we ask about how it came to be? Like, was it the case where she was writing, or there was like this thing where it was like, okay, I've always wanted to have you guys on the song, or you guys have always wanted to be part of her song, and like, how does an Avril Lavigne slash Simple Plan like crossover come together?
It comes together as simple as, hey, we should have a song together. Bam.
Yeah,
And then
easy.
you get in the studio, you write it, you sing it, and then you have it, and it's coming out. And now I'm assuming we're going to be playing it together on the tour, and I mean all of those things. So it could be like this giant thing. Like one day we'll have a song together, or just people hanging out backstage, going like, "Hey, we should do this. Yeah, when are you free? A couple of weeks. All right," and then you do it.
And then it's just done. Yeah, well, I mean, you guys have been doing a lot of really good collaborations recently. Of course, you had Derek, who we're obviously extremely sad to see is leaving the musical scene. Another band that's given Australia so much over so many years. And I guess like you guys have that gravitas now to go. Okay, we'll have you, and people will work with you, and you've got like everyone who would want to be part of Simple Plan now, plus the new generation as well. You're good touring with I never know how to pronounce her name, Lola, Lala,
Lolo.
Lolo, yeah,
Yes, yes.
who I'm a huge fan of as well, and that's great to see you guys like championing that next generation as well. So it's just yeah, it's awesome.
It is awesome. I agree with you. Like it's very fun to be on songs with friends. It's really fun to sort of get somebody else's input on a song you're working on. And I mean, we're just here to have a good time, and we're lucky that people still care and want to listen to what we have to say and listen to our music. So, hey, man, we're just gonna keep going.
Is there anybody who's on the list that you've been holding out for that you still have that dream collab, or are you just ticking the names off piece by
Well, you know what? Since 2002, and I'm gonna double down because we're just gonna keep on saying the same person. Since 2002, we've been saying we'd love to have a song with Pink, and we've met her a few times. I believe it was here in Australia at the MTV Awards, maybe in 2005 or six.
Sure, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Such a long time ago. But every time we get asked that question, we always say we'd love to have a song with Pink. So hopefully, at some point, it gets to her ears, and then she calls us up and she wants to collaborate with us. That'd be
Well,
great.
yeah, she's huge down under, man. Like
Yeah,
she
she's another one that's not afraid to tour down here as well. She's here as often as, and she puts on one hell of a show, as you
yeah.
know.
Well, we're just at Rod Laver Arena yesterday, and there's a big poster that says Arena Record Pink. She's the one that sold it out the most nights in a row, I guess. So that's pretty
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah, Australians are just like such huge fans. And you know, I always Pink gets an interesting rap over here. But the early stuff, man, like there was some bangers in there, and I know that it's like it's changed a lot since then. But I think you guys could bring back the guitar driven stuff like that. Don't Let Me Get Me, that track. You could really rip that again.
Right, right. That could be fun. That could definitely be fun.
Yeah. To go back to the start, I was doing a little bit of research on you guys and just like kind of wondering how everything kind of happened and how you kind of formed together. Obviously, there was different bands and there's always stuff before the band that people come to know you by, but it seems like the the Sugar Ray show was like a big part of like how you guys ended up coming back together again. Like you guys met at you reformed in the Sugar Ray show. You kind of like hung out together as the band that would go on to become Simple Plan. Like was Sugar Ray a band for you guys that you kind of looked up to? Because they're still going now as well.
They're still going now. Yeah, the whole Sugar Ray Show story. It's funny because we've got a documentary coming out on Prime Video this summer,
Yeah,
and that
very
and that
cool.
whole that whole thing's pretty detailed. So basically, our singer and our drummer had a band before, right?
Yeah.
That I was a fan of. I used to go to their shows,
Yeah.
and then that band kind of broke up. They had a fight. They had a falling out. Chuck left the band, and then a few years later, they were both Pierre and Chuck were at that Sugar Ray Show together. And then Chuck went up to him and was like, "Hey, like this is done. We should be friends again." But really, he was asking him like, "Hey, you should come and sing in my new band that I've got with Seb and Jeff." And that's sort of how the unity of Simple Plan got back together in that moment. Yes, but then the first tour we ever did as Simple Plan was opening up for Sugar Ray on their American college tour that they did. So it's an interesting
Serendipitous.
it's become an important band for us. Yes, and definitely we've always been fans of their music, but now they're kind of part of the Simple Plan story because of that.
That's so funny. I mean,
It's crazy.
yeah, yeah, because of all the people that you've collaborated with and of all the kind of influences that I would have guessed, like you worked with Rivers as well from Weezer, who I'm a massive fan of. I mean, I would have definitely put those in oh yeah, that's probably a Simple Plan inspiration. But then, yeah, like I don't know, Sugar Ray, I wouldn't have guessed it. But I mean, like they're great songwriters and they had some huge hits here as well for us in Australia.
And what a cool voice, Mark McGrath. I
Yeah,
mean, and now
great
it's funny,
pick.
we're talking about it, and I'm like, maybe we should call him up for the next song that we have. That'd be really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, nice. Also the start, it seems like Vans Warped Tour was a big deal for you guys starting out as well. You played so many years in a row, starting from like, the 90s into the early 2000s. And is there a party that wants to see that come back to like where it was back when it sort of helped break you guys into the mainstream?
Sure, I think back then it was definitely a great way for young bands to get that exposure. It was a stamp of approval. Like if you played Warped Tour, you suddenly became a legitimate band in the scene. Now, I mean, I mean, again, like 25 years ago, it seems that it was very important to be like genre based, and like there was no cross pollination between genres. Like if you were punk, you were punk. If you were hip hop person, like you couldn't really although Warped Tour always did a good job at bringing communities together. Like if you were a little bit too pop, like you weren't for Warped Tour, and there's that whole like fight and dilemma was a big thing back then. Not so much anymore, but I think there's many ways for bands to get discovered, and social media is a big part of that nowadays. So, but I do wish Warped Tour came back, and I think bands should make it a priority to want to be on if it does come back as a touring tour. But this year we're playing the one show in DC, and then it's gonna be pretty fun.
Yeah, so you guys are doing that standalone thing. So it's going to
Hmm.
feel kind of like Warped Tour vibes, but of course, like the biggest part of it for you back then would have, of course, been getting in front of so many different people in so many different parts of America. So it'll be interesting to see how it feels for you. But I mean, it must be cool just like I guess getting to experience those things again. And of course, you did the When We Were Young festival as well.
Hmm.
That was in Vegas, yeah?
Yeah, that's a big show in Vegas. It's
Yeah.
it's sort of like that's more of like a celebration of the bands that made the scene. Whereas Warped Tour back in the day was really like you probably haven't heard of these guys, but these guys are great. You should check them out. And that was sort of like the vibe of the whole tour. So When We Were Young was absolutely amazing. We played it 2 years in a row. We're playing it again this year, and then Warped Tour doing the one show. And I don't know if it's ever going to go back to being a touring festival, but hopefully it does. I love
Yeah.
it.
Oh man,
Absolutely.
we would love nothing more because it has been absolutely iconic, in our childhoods and yours as well. And to bring it
Hmm.
back to be something else. But for now, you are on the road with Offspring, and you're about to tour with Avril Lavigne, which is going to be absolutely huge. Tickets, they are selling fast, but there's a couple left through destroyallines.com for this Australian tour with the Offspring. Seb, thanks so much for joining us. And this new track with Avril Lavigne is an absolute belter, and hopefully it means new music from you guys soon as well. So. But we'll let you make that announcement if there is one
Yeah.
in the next few weeks or whatever.
Okay, good. There's always a simple plan soon. New music coming soon, and it's kind of funny we're talking about Warped Tour, but that's where I met the Offspring for the first time was Warped Tour in Australia. Funny
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah.
So
So true.
good times, yeah.
Yeah, and as someone who grew up using your music as a talent show fodder as I sang it in my school talent quest and stuff, it's an absolute pleasure and it's a real honor to have spoken to you today. So I really appreciate it.
Same. Thanks very much for calling, guys.
Thanks, Seb. Appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, guys. I'll send you your backup recording just in case once we're wrapped.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You have a good day.
You too. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.